All right, let's go back to learning the Dvar Malchut, the speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe 31 years ago, 31 years ago, 1991, Tafshin Nun Aleph. And in it, he's talking about serving God, trying to activate us, inspire us, and ignite us, that we start serving God in two ways, from below to above and from above to below. From above to below, that's God bringing blessing into the world. That's like we've just learned about in the Torah portion. Anochi noten lefanim bracha, making blessings in the world. That's from above to below. Then there's serving God from below to above. That's something like prayer, elevating ourselves, doing the commandments, working from below to above, what's called. That's all hinted at in the month of Elul. Ani Ladodi is from below to above. Something over here is itching my nose. I can't. Okay. According to this, now we can explain the connection between the month of Elul and Re'eh. This week's Torah portion is called Re'eh, right? See, I am putting in front of you a blessing. We said before the Re'eh seems to indicate that God is giving us all these blessings from above to below. But then the Rebbe brought all sorts of reasons that say, no, maybe there's something all hinted at by Re'eh in this week's Torah portion, because first of all, it begins the months of the winter, which is from below to above. And also, we're reading it in the month, it ends up, we're reading it in the month of Av, which is also from below to above. Serving God. So let's see the connection between the two of them. The main point we want to bring out, the Rebbe wants to bring out over here, is to activate us. To, what do you say, that we should feel responsible and activate us to save the world. To tell us that we can do it and we have the power to do it and we must do it. They inspire us to do it. Today, in order that the month serving of God in the month of Elul should be complete, it has to be joining these both two opposites of Ani Ladodi, I am to my beloved. The beloved is God here. This is a sentence from Song of Songs, right? Ani Ladodi, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. From below to above and from above to below, to unite these, Gam also together. Avodat Adam, the service of man, Ani. Right? How does the month of Elul start off? Me, I. He, Ba'ofa, and Shel, Bali Gavul, has to be unlimited. Dodi, Li, without any limit. Sorry, the Rebbe said before, the word Li, anytime it says the word Li, to me, God is saying, to me, this implies something infinite, eternal, for all time. In order for the Ani to reach this level of Li, Adam, a person, a limited person, has to be a very high level, which is above any limitation. How do you do that? By means of revealing your true identity. The true identity of a Jew. What's the true identity of a Jew? A reality which is so infinitely real and true and eternal and unchanging and powerful and good and loving and valuable. That's the essence of every Jew. We're one with the creator of the universe. All the good qualities that are in the universe, that are in the creator and in the universe, are inside of us. You can say, what about all the bad qualities that are in the world? The fact of the matter is that all the bad qualities in the world don't really exist on their own. Bad cannot exist without good. Right? Death cannot exist unless there's life. Lying, cheating can't exist unless there's truth. Right? Cowardice can't exist unless there's courage. All the good things that there are in the world, love is good, right? Hatred can't exist unless there's love. Right? You hate things that are bad. Why? Because you love yourself. If nothing is valuable, so you don't hate it. What do I care? Right? There's a war between one country and another country over the world. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. If the people try to do something bad to me, because I love myself. So therefore, the bad things in the world only exist in the merit of good things. When there's an absence of good, then the bad, that's where bad is. Bad takes over, the potential of bad, the actual bad. So all the good things in the world are manifestations of the creator of the universe. Creator, God is the creator. All the destructive things in the world, those are us misusing our power of free will, that we can remove the good from the world. So really inside of every Jew is made in the, is what is it? A son of God. Every Jew, we have all these good qualities inside of us. Every Jew has this power. You have to feel this. When you do, then you'll know that you have the power and ability to spread good in the world. That's the big problem. We don't utilize our powers. We're afraid to go out. Who am I? I'm going to. We're talking. That's the main thing of Parshas Ray. Ray means see. I am giving in front of you today a blessing. Shebator hakadama lavodat adam. That this is sort of a, how do you say, a preface, a preparation, a pep talk before we start to work, before we start to actually get into the, how do you say, the match. Before we start to serve God from below to above. So God is saying, hey, look, I'm putting in front of you a blessing before we start to serve God in a way of, and all the details of doing good and turning from bad. Like it says, Asher tishmonu mitzvot Hashem. Good is when you do what God says. And the opposite, if you don't do what God says, that makes bad in the world. As mugdash gadol malaso. Beforehand, God wants to tell us who we are. Omrim, we say, hey, look, Jews, you're a Jew. Look, sheshayach v'tzorich liot lo rak b'darga shel shmiya. Not just listen and understand what it says in the books, but Ria, see that it's inside of you. See who you are, Jew. Anochi, what do you see? What are you supposed to see inside of you? Anochi. Anochi mish anochi, the essence of God. And from the essence of God, the creator of all being, noten, I am giving. Kol noten ba'ayin yafeu noten. Anyone who gives, he gives with a generous attitude. And what am I giving? Lifnechem, to the inside of you. I'm putting inside of you now, right? I, God, myself, am putting inside of you now. Ba'oven shel or v'gila. Yom also means like day, in a revealed way, in an way that's eternal. What am I giving you? A blessing. Call inyane brachos, all of the possible blessings there can be. Hand brachos galuyos, revealed blessings. These are higher blessings that can't be revealed, like we said before, that they look like curses to us, but they're really not. She'ein b'b'chinas sasin, that they're concealed. Kolomer, in other words, God is telling us, and He's giving us gisha klalis, a general preparation. a general attitude to all of the service of man. Ani ladodi, service of man is I am to my beloved. We're starting at the month of Elul with a clear knowledge, certainty of who we are. Mitochi Yediyah, we have a recognition. That inside of us, Nitan, God gave and is giving Hagilui, a revelation today, like day shines, of Anochi Mishanochi, God's essence. Al Yedezem, by means of this, Nasa is made, Kalalos Avodaso Milamata Lamaila. By means of this, you can begin to serve God from below to above. Ani, Vadodi, Vadodi Li. Then your I, yourself, becomes different. Often Naila Bioter, in a highest possible way. I'm not just a person, I'm a Jew. And a Jew has the power, the ability, the obligation to improve the whole world around him. By a good deed, by a good speech, even by a good thought. That we can change the world in a way that's above any measure. Now, who is the Rebbe speaking to over here? The Rebbe is not saying only, the scholars and the great holy people. The Rebbe is speaking to every single Jew. The Rebbe used to write letters even from the beginning, when the Rebbe just became Rebbe. I don't know which year it was. I think 1 year after 2 years, he would write a letter, and he had the Hasidim distribute it to all the synagogues, not just Chabad. And he would write letters, the Kol B'nei Benot Yisrael, the Kol Atar V'Atar, to every single Jewish person, no matter where they are. A Rebbe would write a letter. I mean, on the face of things, that's ridiculous. Who writes a letter to everybody, right? You write a letter to the religious people, to the people in America, or something, maybe. The Rebbe wrote a letter to all of the Jewish people. Who is he? Nobody even knew who the Rebbe was. Sitting in his room alone, and he writes a letter to all the Jewish people. And they say that the Belzer Rebbe at the time, that he saw this, his secretary or whatever, one of his helpers brought in this letter to the Rebbe, and he scoffed at it. He said, "Look at this. Who does this guy think he is?" And the Belzer Rebbe said, "You better watch out. You have absolutely no idea who he is." I don't remember exactly what the language was, but that was the gist of it. You better watch out. You have no idea who you're dealing with here. He's writing a letter to all the Jewish people because he's responsible for all the Jewish people. And the Rebbe is trying to tell us now that we also are responsible for all the Jewish people. Right? It's how do you say, absurd enough to say that there's one rabbi, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he's responsible for all the Jewish people. Okay, maybe little by little it's becoming acceptable. People learn what the Rambam says. There's going to be a Moshiach, and it's going to really be relevant to all the Jews. He's going to wake up all. Okay, one person, good. Now the Rebbe is telling us something even more absurd, that each one of us has the responsibility to every Jew in the world. And not only to every Jew, every non-Jew as well. And not only do we have the responsibility, but we have the ability and the power to actually make this change. And it doesn't have to be in the way that you think, that you have to get on television and you have to make this speech and lift up your hand with your finger and say, "I do say to you." It can be just doing one good deed, just doing saying one brave word, a positive thing, the right thing, could be, in a loving way. That could have the butterfly effect and change the whole world. But the power to change the whole world, we definitely have. How do we know? Because the Rebbe told us. That's the Moshiach. In even more detail, Mudgash is stressed in this week's Torah portion, the joining of both services of God, from below to above, Ani Ladodi, and from above to below. From God coming down and giving us a blessing from above to below. Noten lifnechem, I am putting it in front of you. God is giving. God is giving from above to below. And also lifnechem, to the inside of you, Namely, this will be the true hamshacha, drawing down from from us, from below to above, that we can serve from below to above. That's the blessing. The blessing also implies these two things, from above to below and from below to above. A blessing, this is a revelation in a revealed way, shenimshacha, that's drawn from above to below, the highest bracha nalit yoter, the highest possible blessing, shabon, which comes by means of transforming haklala lavracha. The highest possible blessing there can be is when we transform curses to blessings. That's our work, from below to above. So a blessing has also both ways, from God giving us a blessing from above and giving us the power to transform from below to above, from below. But dugma sam, this is like in service of God, the service of tzaddikim, this is from above to below, and the service of bali tshuva, which is from below to above. And also serving them both together. It says the Moshiach is going to make all the tzaddikim do tshuva. V'hakoach, and the ability, that's what it says in the Zohar. Don't believe me here, look, it says here, watch this, 71. Parshas Re'eh and the Zohar, Parshas Re'eh and the Zohar, etc. That's where the original place is. Yeah. Hakoach, the ability to join these two things together, to be like Bali Tshuva, and also to be a tzaddik, to bring blessings down. Who brings blessings down? Who can bring blessings, right? I can give blessings. I give blessings to anybody. You want a blessing? I'll give anybody a blessing free. Do they work? No. But I give blessings. Maybe they do work. The Rebbe gives blessings. They all work, right? A Jew is supposed to bless another Jew. Everyone, but my blessings are not blessings of a tzaddik. Maybe my blessings, once in a while, they work like everybody else's blessings. You give a person a good blessing, mazel tov, you wish a person good, and it comes out good. Why not? Says a blessing of a simple person, don't take it too lightly. That's giving a blessing. But to serve God from below to above, right? To go away from bad, to resist bad urges, that I can try to do. On the other hand, the tzaddik, he can make blessings, but he doesn't resist bad urges. He hasn't got any bad urges. To serve both of them together, how can it be both together? And the ability to give blessings will be in the simplest people, to bring God down. And the tzaddikim will realize that as high as they thought they were, when Moshiach comes, they'll realize that they were very, very far from where they were supposed to be, from where they could be. That they'll also, so to speak, resist their lower level of holiness to raise to a higher level. That's what it says in the Zohar. The koach, the power to join these two opposites together, from above to below and from below to above, namely noten lifnechem and the bracha, etc. Noten lifnechem is the power to go from below to above, and the blessing is coming from above to below. Who is Bedriga Shalamayla? In order to join these two things together, there has to be a third thing which joins them both. So like a bride and a groom, they get married, there's a chuppah, a canopy that covers over both of them. And what is this joining together of the tzaddikim and the regular Jews? Is Ro'ei Anochi. This level which is called Anochi. I am who I am, the essence of God. The lowest Ramiz B'Shum Os V'Kots. It's not hinted at any letter or even any point of a letter. A letter, this is a level of godliness which is above, of being above or below. What's this got to do with us? Because this is what's going to join together. This is going to be our personality. Or in simple language, we always will be grateful to the creator of the universe for every little detail, every single instant. Everything we do, say, think, see, hear, feel, sense, everything that happens. It's all God's world. and we don't appreciate it. And in the future, we will appreciate it. And that feeling, which is above all types of service of God, unites all types of service of God, because in the end, we're all just doing it for the sake of the Creator. Similarly, so if people are willing to give their lives or whatever for the sake of, freedom or liberty, or give me liberty or give me that, or for the sake of the country, or for the sake of the religion, or for the sake of going to heaven, or whatever it is, how much more so we should be happy, willing, ready, and able to serve the Creator of the universe, to be aware of every instant of our lives. Right? People are willing to devote their lives to nonsense. Right? Stands up Napoleon, everybody's willing to do. What did he do? Absolutely nothing. Killed who knows how many people. Here we're talking about enlivening the whole world. And that comes from the Torah, doing the Torah properly with the proper attitude, serving from below to above and from above to below. Similarly, in the end of the Torah portion, the end of our Torah portion, it talks about the holidays. Chag Sukkot Taselach. The holiday of Sukkot. And this ends in the holiday of Shmini Atzeret. That the whole thing of Shmini Atzeret it's an ingathering of the end of the holiday of Sukkot. I will be with you alone, and no one will be with you. The Jewish people, Bamalka and the king, Belechudai, are alone. This is already hinted at in the reading of the Torah on this Shabbat Mevorchim, Elul, or Shabbat. Some years it's Shabbat Mevorchim. This year it's Shabbat itself. This Shabbat is the 30th day of Av, which is Rosh Chodesh Elul. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me, alone. God loves me, I love him, and we're alone. The Lamdenu will come to teach us Shavorat Adam, that the surface of man, Ani Ladodi, I am to my beloved, has to be in a way which is higher. It has to be higher and higher, because it's God that's giving us Ra'eh. Mitzad Etzem Tziyuso, because God is putting inside of us, Anochi is putting his essence. Therefore, this month of Elul, Ani Ladodi, serving God from below to be above, I am giving myself over to my beloved, to God, and drawing God down to me. This has to constantly be in an improved and in a higher and a higher and a higher way. V'yesh lo osif, and we can add on, she'inyan zeh, that this whole idea that the service of man has to be in the service of man, in this case of the Jews, has to be in a higher way, which is above any sort of limitations or any sort of worries or, hesitation, should be Badarga Yetera Bikavios, the Rosh Chodesh El B'Shabbos. This is especially stressed by Hadgashi Yasira. This idea that we have to always serve God in a way which is totally above and beyond any of our limitations. And this is stressed in Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the fact that the first day of Elul this year falls out on Shabbat. Mamado, the standing, the existence of each and every Jew on Shabbat is higher than the rest of the week. In fact, it's incomparably higher than Mamado Matzavo, than his situation, his spiritual awareness in the weekdays. Shabbat is an elevation. If Rosh Chodesh Elul comes out to be on Shabbat, it means that now our service of God in Ani Ledodi, the month of Elul, Ani Ledodi, of our service to Dodi, to my beloved, to God, that a person is found now on Shabbat in a higher level. This I think is a mistake. It should be an aleph. Shabbos Dikr Yid is a Shabbos Jew. So therefore, Nimshechas Avodah the Chodesh Elul Gam B'Yamei Achol In other words, this year we are not only empowered to serve God by virtue of the first day of Elul, but also we draw Shabbat also into the whole year. Shabbat, which is a higher awareness of God, which we have on Shabbat, we also draw into this Ani Ladodi Dodi Li in more detail. The 2 days of Rosh Chodesh Elul. Many days, the first day, the Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month, when it's 2 days, it can be Shabbat Rosh Chodesh in a way that the first day falls on a weekday and the second day falls on Shabbat. It could be, which is not the case on Elul. When Elul falls on Shabbat, it's always in a way that the first day of Rosh Chodesh is always on Shabbat, and the second day of Rosh Chodesh is on Sunday. That's all the way it is. If Elul, the first day of Elul, either one, if the beginning of Elul comes out on Shabbat, it'll always be that the first day is Shabbat and the second day is Yom Rishon. First day is going to be on Shabbat. Sometimes it could be the second days. There's some months when the second day of the beginning of the month is on Shabbat, but not Elul. So we can say that Bezeh and this is stressed. That the service Ani Ladodi, from below to above, it's not in a way to minakal or kavod. It's not in a way from easy to more difficult. Techila, first of all, in a way of weekday, and afterwards it comes Shabbat. Shabbat is, you don't have to do work. But this month of Elul, because it starts off on Shabbat, so therefore in the beginning is starting off, what do you say, on the right foot, on Shabbat. And so therefore the feeling of Shabbat carries through the whole month. Then that God is doing all the work. He's helping us. Not only that, Yom Rishon, the first day of Rosh Chodesh this year, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, Rishon, I'm sorry, also in its highest, in its quality, Rishon means number one, the highest of Rosh Chodesh. When it falls on Shabbat, this also has an effect on the second day of Rosh Chodesh. The second day of Rosh Chodesh comes out on Sunday. Sunday, that also in it should be the service of Ani Ladodi, the service of man in a situation of Shabbat. So Shabbat affects the whole entire coming year and affects even more the second day of Rosh Chodesh, which is affected by the first day. By means of this, all the month of Elul is affected by Shabbat. Okay, so what does this mean? What does this mean? That we feel godliness, we feel God's help, we feel what we call menucha, rest. Shabbat is a day of rest. It says when the Moshiach comes, it'll be totally rest. Now, the fact of the matter is it will not be totally rest. The fact is that we'll continue serving God even more energetically in the days of the Moshiach. What does it mean that it'll be the days that's totally Shabbat, that'll be rest? So some people say, no, this is referring to the raising of the dead, when there is no work. But the fact is not so. The essence of serving God with tremendous effort and self-sacrifice and energy and not stopping, going out above limit, the essence inside of this is one point that's always at rest. It never changes. The essence of God, it never changes. And this essence of God, it demands from us that we serve without any stop, energetically go above our. But still, it's still that essential point of life, of reality, of responsibility, of meaning, if you want to call it, that never changes. It's never changed. That's called rest. That's called menucha. That's Shabbat. That inner point of Shabbat is the inner connection of every Jew and consequently the whole entire world to the Creator. And the Creator never changes. That's like Shabbat. And from this inner point of the Creator that never changes, is that what causes all the changes in the world. Maybe I can give you a simple example. I don't know if this is right. You'll tell me if you think it's not. Let's say the laws of nature. The laws of nature. The laws of nature are constant, at least within the framework of nature. They're constant. 2 and 2 is 4. That's constant. There's other systems, if you want, of mathematics and everything. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the systems of mathematics that Einstein and Newton and everybody, they built it on, right? These things are constant. Because they are constant, so this gives, it's a firm base upon which can be built all of the progress and all of the changes and all of the inventions that came from it. But there has to be this point of constancy, right? Here we're talking about the laws of nature. Like I said before, laws of nature can be changed. We see when the Jews got out of Egypt that God changed the laws of nature. All of a sudden, what was down was up. Everything was, right? Even in mathematics, I'm not a mathematician, but I heard that there's different systems of mathematics where it could be that 2 and 2 is 5. I don't. But as far as we're concerned here, that if there is something constant, then from that constant can come all change, can come all how do you say, stability. And the ultimate constant is God. And that's Shabbat. And from that constancy, that firm base of reality and truth can come all of the changes and all the I can take another example, truth. If there wasn't such a thing as truth, there wouldn't be any business, right? If everybody lied, so then that's it. There's no more business anymore. Everybody just has to go out and hunt rabbits or whatever they do. Because no one can trust anybody else. You never know if you're getting false money, if you're going to get cheated, if you're going to. So there has to be a point of truth that's unchanging in order for there to be a basis for reality. And that's this idea of Shabbat. And Shabbat, this is the basis this year, especially of the Ani Ladodi Li, of the serving of God from below to above and above to below, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. And now let's learn the Yom Yom. These are sayings that the Rebbe, 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe, gathered from the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. So these are really sayings of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe that he used to say. From my father's Sichot. My father, this is the previous Rebbe talking about his father. The previous Rebbe was the 6th Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, and his father was the 5th Lubavitcher Rebbe. In the Hasidic exodus from Egypt, Hasidic exodus, it's a commandment to go out of Egypt every day, it says. There's the commandment of recounting Egypt verbally, namely what's talking about going out of Egypt, to tell Hasidic stories and to sense and apprehend the story in one's deepest innerness. You have to know that every story that you hear, Hasidic story, is a guide for living. Every story has to bring forth in the person and those who listen, in the audience, some sort of a good character trait, some sort of an inner enthusiasm for doing a commandment and doing the commandment in the best way. A Hasidic story should enable the listener to sense the pleasantness of the Hasidic teachings, of how wonderful and good it is to serve God according to the teachings of the Rebbes. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day with Moshiach now. See you at 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we're continuing our learning in the Chumash and also in Pirkei Avot. Hope to see you all at 3 o'clock today.